What is a startup? We explore here on The Patriot Founder. All right, this is a term we hear all the time. It is used not only in the news, but also in popular culture, and everybody seems to be talking about it these days. So what the heck is a startup? What I'm going to do is walk you through my definition and share how I think about this term. But I'd also like to hear your perspective. So if you can enter that into the comments section so that I can take a peek and others here in this community can see your views, that would be awesome as well. All right, so here we go. A startup is a group of people who are trying to solve a problem in new and novel ways with the intent of scaling that solution. Okay, so let's unpack this a little bit. In my definition, there are two criteria that need to be met for me to consider a small business or even a nonprofit a startup. First, they need to be building a product or service that is new and addresses a challenge. And second, their aim must be to scale said product or service. This second point is key in differentiating a classic small business on one hand from what we typically think of as a quote-unquote Silicon Valley style startup. For our purposes here, it's also helpful to look at what startups are not. With a very small number of exceptions, startups are typically not consulting firms or agencies. In those cases, work is done on a customized basis for a client. That is, a product isn't being developed with the intent of scaling it. The same can be said for most local stores. And that certainly is not to diminish the impact and importance and difficulty of launching those kinds of stores. Many companies that aren't looking to scale nationally or globally are sometimes honestly looked down on by folks in Silicon Valley. They have a term for those kinds of companies. They call them lifestyle companies. And this is a term that tends to be applied in a somewhat negative way, even though those companies really are the backbone of America's economy. Ultimately, definitions like this really just don't matter that much, if at all. I mean, we are talking about arbitrary criteria that have no influence on really much of anything. It's just kind of a conversation piece. What really matters is that you are building something that is going to meaningfully improve the lives of your users and customers. Now, that might be in a way that is seismically impactful on, the way the world works. So if you create the next generation of energy storage devices, that is meaningfully improving the lives of your users. Or if you are a local mom and pop shop who might not fit the criteria that I've laid out of what a startup is or isn't, if you are improving the lives of your local customers, that's what matters. So ultimately, don't worry about the definition of a startup and whether, you're part of this in-group that's talked about in the news or in pop culture, or that they made a movie about or a TV show about. That doesn't matter. Just build things that people want, get it into people's hands, and improve people's lives. That's what startups are about. It's not about these arbitrary definitions and artificial criteria. Like, subscribe. It helps us with the algorithm so that we can reach more vets and do our best to support you guys in this community.